There are millions of ways to make millions of dollars. Maybe you're adventurous and are going to start a business, invent a better mousetrap, or strike it rich by mining for gold. This video isn't about any of those. It's about something a little bit more traditional: getting a job. Knuckling down and getting a job can lead you to the millions of dollars you've always dreamed about. But not all jobs are created equally. So let's take a look at those jobs that are actually likely to make you a million. As of 2020, the federal minimum wage in America is $7.25. This means that for those of you flipping burgers at a fast food place, it would take you over 66 years to earn $1 million if you worked full-time. That's 33 years if you worked 80 hours a week. It also assumes you didn't spend anything on living expenses. So, there are good jobs and bad jobs if your goal is earning millions of dollars. We've narrowed down the top prospects and came up with 50 jobs in 10 categories. There's healthcare, finance, entertainment, legal, software, engineering and design, sales, entrepreneurship, miscellaneous, investments. Let's start with healthcare. Healthcare. Glassdoor.com made a list of the highest salaries of every job they have on record. Healthcare jobs made up just about half of the list. Glassdoor listed professionals like a physician, pharmacy manager, dentist, pharmacist, physician's assistant, and nurse practitioner as some of the top-paying jobs of 2019. In fact, the top-paying job in America of all time is physician, with a median salary of almost $200K a year. Although, keep in mind that because this is a median number, 50% of all physicians are earning much more. Specialists especially make a fair amount of money. If you were to secure a job as a radiologist, cardiologist, or orthopedic surgeon, it wouldn't be out of the question for you to make $400K a year. That would make you a millionaire in just 3 years, even after living expenses. In general, we don't recommend this as a guaranteed payday. A single political action by a single new president may very well disrupt insurance and put an end to doctors earning so much. If you do go into healthcare, we suggest going into plastic surgery, cosmetic dentistry, and other medical fields focusing on things immune to insurance payments. Finance. Another way to hit $1 million in your bank account is by actually working at the bank itself. Any industry in the financial sector pays fairly decently, and it makes sense. You're essentially babysitting other people's money. Investment bankers routinely make over $200K a year. If this was your job, it would take you over 5 years to earn $1 million. However, things get a lot more promising the higher up the corporate ladder you climb. It's not unheard of for the managing director of these institutions to make over $1 million a year. On average, hedge fund managers make low six figures, but the managers of the most popular hedge funds make between $600 million. And the top 3 earn over $1 billion a year. You'd basically have to be the Michael Jordan of hedge fund management to get to those superstar levels. Speaking of Michael Jordan, he's in our next category: being famous. It's a pretty good bet that anyone you see on TV is a millionaire. Whether they be actors, producers, hosts, musicians, athletes, or reality stars, when you provide entertainment for millions of people, you can make millions of dollars. Of course, not everybody is a top-level entertainer. Getting to that point takes a mixture of skill and good luck. The top athletes in the world make over $100 million every year between their salary and further endorsements. However, the real money in entertainment doesn't necessarily come from the job itself, but the side deals, investments, and endorsements you have access to. Leonardo DiCaprio famously turned down $20 million for his role in Inception. He instead worked for as little money that the guild would allow, instead opting for a percentage of the film's profits. This made him $50 million, which is 150% higher than if he just took the salary. If you find yourself dreaming of stardom, make sure you use your influence to your advantage. George Foreman endorsed the very famous Foreman grill, which made him far more money than boxing ever did. Actor George Clooney is the highest paid actor of 2019, but he didn't make his money from acting. He made his money from selling his tequila brand, Casamigos, for $1 billion. Even pop singer Justin Bieber made the cover of Forbes. It wasn't because of his music, but his investments. When he was just 15, he invested in Spotify, and then got his ravenous fans to start using the popular app. This is one of the reasons why he's worth $250 million. Don't forget about the Kardashians, who didn't get rich by being famous alone. Instead, they used their fame to launch businesses, including Kylie Jenner's company, Kylie Cosmetics, that's worth $800 million. Legal. The legal profession is famously high-earning and a goal for many young bookworms with dollar signs in their eyes. If you're looking for a career in law, you'll want to know which type of lawyer to be. The highest paid lawyers are patent attorneys and intellectual property lawyers, who are responsible for enforcing copyright and patents. They each make salaries of around $180,000 a year. Trial lawyers and tax attorneys make around $130,000 a year, and corporate lawyers make around $150K a year. Corporate lawyers can usually earn about $200K a year. Specifically, you'll want to focus on mergers and acquisitions if you're going the corporate route. If you don't choose any of these, you can still make a bundle as a lawyer. Most big lawsuits mean big payouts for the lawyers on the winning side. It's not uncommon for a lawyer to get a single payout on a single case of over $1 million. Software. For many people, technology is the no-brainer career path for a large salary. But tech workers make far less than you think. A software developer only makes $150 a year, and cybersecurity only make $100K a year. In general, technology developers are undervalued and overworked. The money that technology companies are famous for doesn't go to the developers working jobs, but from independent innovators and entrepreneurs who found their own company and own all their own patents. If you're going to get into tech and you want to make $1 million doing it, it's not enough to simply get a job. You need to be the one running the company and then sell that company. Engineering and design. Engineers and designers have the same problems that software developers have. When they work salaried positions, getting above $120K a year is incredibly difficult. The highest paid engineers are those working in petroleum, gasoline and oil. However, we predict that this industry will take a swing within the next 20 years as social and political pressure moves us towards renewable energy. Architects fit into this category, and the highest paid are enterprise architects who work for giant companies with unique needs. Overall, engineering and design jobs are most lucrative when you're the one who has founded the company, and you're the one who owns the patents to any unique innovations that it comes up with. Otherwise, it's going to be a long 10 years until you make your million. Sales. In any company, aside from top-tier management, the highest potential income goes to the salespeople. That's because it's a high-risk position, oftentimes with no guaranteed salary other than what you made on commission. Real estate sales can be lucrative, and when we get into luxury properties, the commission is ridiculously high. Real estate salespeople can regularly pull in as much as $250,000 a year. Pharmaceutical sales can make $200K a year, and software sales can make $150K a year. An indirect form of sales is marketing, which pays out $150K for high-level marketing managers, with $250K a year for the owners of the companies that service huge brands like Coke or Pepsi. That being said, it's still not quite as impressive as you think, still taking 5 to 10 years to make $1 million if you saved every penny. Entrepreneurship. So perhaps you want to stake it out on your own and make something from nothing. If you feel like entrepreneurship is your fast ticket to a great paycheck, you should remember that it's a mixed bag. The average business owner makes $75K a year, which is a decent living, but it would take 13 years of saving to reach $1 million. Remember that half of the entrepreneurs are making far less than that. The biggest and most successful entrepreneurs can make quite a lot, but the road to millions might take longer than any of the other jobs on the list. Yes, you work for yourself, but don't think that entrepreneurship is wealth generation on easy mode. It'll be the hardest thing that you ever do. Miscellaneous. There are other professions that don't really fit anywhere else on the list, but are worth noting. Pilots can earn $200 to $300 an hour, depending on how experienced they are. Air traffic controllers, surprisingly, make $130K a year, and it might be the easiest thing on the entire list to get started with. In fact, there are tons of other jobs that pay north of $100K, but in reality, these won't make you a millionaire. Investments. As it turns out, the best form of wealth generation is a two-step process. You have to 1. Have a high-paying job. 2. Use that job salary to jumpstart something on the side. What are we talking about? Let's give you an example. If you worked a job that paid $125K a year and you spend only $40K on living expenses, you'll be able to save $85,000 every year. At that rate, it would take you 12 years to save $1 million. However, letting money sit around is a waste of potential. $85,000 in the bank stays $85,000 forever. However, instead of letting the money sit around, you can actively grow it by buying a company that makes $50,000 a year in profits. You can buy one of these every single year. At the end of the same 12-year period, instead of $1 million, you'll have made $3,900,000, and you'd make another $600,000 every year going forward. Jobs are good catalysts, but the real money comes from investments. If you want to learn more about investments, business, and the best ways to get $1 million, subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when we release something new.
According to a 2019 update from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median annual earnings for a worker in the U.S. is about $47,216. But plenty of people make more than that. Lawyers, doctors, and CEOs might jump to mind. Some positions are well paid because they require unusually good business sense, intense creativity, or highly specialized skills. But that's not the only way to make big bucks. There are professions that require danger pay. These 10 jobs pay incredibly well because they involve taking incredible risks. 1. Professional athlete. While the average annual salary for an athlete in the US is $44,680, highly skilled professional athletes are paid in the millions. And it makes some sense. Higher annual prices are warranted because even a relatively small injury for a regular office Joe can mean the end of a storied career for athletes. Plus, as well as their box office draw for teams and promoters, many athletes risk their health in order to compete. Boxers like Canelo Alvarez, who made $94 million this past year, and Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson, who made $89.5 million, risk brain injury or worse to do their job. Officially, professional athletes run among the lowest risk of fatalities on this list at 2.4 deaths per 100,000, but that number only takes on-the-job fatalities into consideration. The injuries sustained by sports players who take repeated blunt impacts, especially to the head, can have lasting consequences and, in the case of long-term issues like chronic traumatic encephalopathy or CTE, can ultimately shorten their lifespan. 2. Police officers. When it comes to jobs that involve taking some risk, police officers may jump to mind. First responders know that their job can mean rushing into danger, and we all know that police officers are, typically, more likely to be assaulted or even shot than, say, your local ice cream truck driver. But did you know that the average cop is compensated well above the national median? The average salary for a police officer is $77,849, with starting salaries at around $54,000 and top officials making six figures a year. Of course, with that elevated price tag comes elevated risk. Police officers have an on-the-job fatality rate of 6.2 per 100,000, almost twice the national average. 3. Underground miners, operators, and technicians. The mining industry has been in the news a lot over the past decade as jobs in rural America dwindle, but there are still mining jobs across the country to be had, and those jobs are dangerous and often well paid. Miners and mining foremen have an occupational fatality rate of 11.4 per 100,000, more than 3 times the national average. But compensation for these jobs, especially any that involve skill or particularly risky tasks, can be quite generous. Above-ground miners make, on average, around $62,000 per year, while underground workers will make closer to $150K, especially as they become more experienced. According to miningglobal.com, project directors and drilling operations directors can make as much at $400,000 per year. How high your salary can go simply depends on what and where you're mining. 4. Registered nurse. This entry may surprise you, but it's true. Nurses tend to be compensated above the national average and risk their health more than other workers, including other workers in the health industry. While fatalities are not high, nurses are about 1.5 times as likely to develop musculoskeletal disorders as other workers due to long shifts on their feet, and are 3 times more likely than other workers to be injured in a violent event at work. We've specified RNs on this list, a more highly certified nursing position than nurse practitioner because they tend to make more money. Registered nurses make an average of $68,450 per year and can make up to $100K annually, depending on location and experience. 5. Electrical power line installers and repairers. Electricity. It's easy to take it for granted. You flip a switch and the lights come on. But someone has to keep the power lines up and running, and the work required to do so is a risky proposition. Power lines are often elevated, and, though perhaps it goes without saying, working on them means dealing with high voltages of electricity. The slightest slip of the hand or foot can mean injury or worse. In fact, power line workers have an occupational fatality rate of 20.5 deaths per 100,000 workers per year. That's almost 6 times the national average in the USA. To make up for it, they're compensated well, but could be paid better. The standard salary for electrical power line installers and repairers is $59,754, with starting salaries around $49,000 and top workers making around $74,000 per year. It's a dangerous job, but someone has to do it, and about $12,500 more than the national average is a good start when it comes to incentivizing taking on the work. 6. Oil rig worker. Oil rig work is another incredibly dangerous job, and they're only going to get more dangerous as we go down this list. Oil and gas extraction industry employees have an on-the-job fatality rate of 25 per 100,000. And that includes the guys doing the calculations in the offices, so you can do the math that working on an oil rig, especially offshore oil rigs, is less than safe. Oil rig workers often work directly with drilling and extraction equipment, and the hours are unconventional. They typically work 2 long weeks, 80 hours a week for 14 days, balanced with 21 days off. So they only work about 2/5 of the year. And when it comes to the oil industry, those who take risks, and admittedly, those who take less risks, are rewarded. Oil rig workers make an average annual salary of $75,307, but pay can go up to $293,500 a year, if not more, for those working offshore who have specialized skills. 7. Garbage collectors. Surprised to see this here? There are many people who do not know that collecting garbage is both a dangerous and well-paid line of work. If you're wondering in what way the life of a garbage man or woman can be dangerous, they work with trucks that are intended to crush and compact even the toughest garbage. They risk coming into contact with bacteria and other hazardous substances, and, most dishearteningly, they are occasionally hit by impatient drivers who don't see the garbage collector at work. This combination of factors leave garbage collectors with an incredibly high occupational fatality risk, 38.8 per 100,000. That puts them 11 times more likely to die at work than the national average. but to make up for a life lived around what we throw away, they're generally compensated fairly. While $43K is the official national average, overtime and experience often means even those without a high school diploma can make $80,000 or more a year. In fact, senior garbage collectors can make as much as $169,000 a year in big cities. Is it enough for the risk they take on? You decide. 8. Aircraft pilots. Another perhaps unexpected entry on this list. Aircraft pilots and flight engineers have a surprisingly high risk of dying at work. While airline travel is safer than traveling by car, aircraft pilots in general are not always flying big commercial jets, which have the luxury of being able to cancel if there's any doubt about the weather and are typically flown by the most experienced pilots. Private jets and small planes that travel between towns otherwise cut off from supplies, bush pilots, charters, and air taxis are what bring this risk rate up to a whopping 40.4 per 100,000. In fact, about a fifth of all fatal crashes in the US occur in Alaska, where flying between towns is much more common and, for many communities, even a requirement for access. The primary causes of crashes are human error and, in a distant second, unfavorable weather conditions. But with improvements in weather prediction and information technology, rates have continued to drop in that category over time. Fortunately, pilots tend to make good money for their skills, time, and risk. The average salary for a pilot makes around $78,874, but pilots, especially for big commercial airlines like Delta and American, can make as much as $226,000 a year. And if you can graduate to a cushy big airline position like that, your most likely workplace injury switches to back pain from all that sitting. Worth it? Only a pilot can say. 9. Private security contractor. Private security contractors are a little more mysterious than the other workers on this list, and what their jobs entail less uniform. In this case, we're talking primarily about private companies who are employed as independent contractors either by the military or others that need additional private security. While Kim Kardashian's bodyguard probably makes big money for relatively low risk besides, perhaps, your occasional slip and fall, the private military contractors working for various governments in conflict zones take on as much risk or more as a soldier. For that reason, their occupational fatality risk is uniquely hard to gauge, but everyone knows it's dangerous. If you can get paid hundreds and even thousands of dollars a day to help the military, you're probably either highly skilled or doing something very dangerous, or both. These jobs tend to start at around $80,000 per year and can go up to $250,000 or more. 10. Alaskan crab fisherman. Last, but certainly not least, we come to what was once known, thanks to the magic of television, as the most dangerous catch. Fishing in general is both risky and relatively low on the pay scale, but certain highly valued products can command an impressive sum. Alaskan king crab is one such product. During the 3-month season, a crew hand on a fishing boat can make $15,000 per month and $50,000 for the season, and captains can make as much as $200,000 or more in that 3-month span. But here the risk is truly daunting. Fishermen have an on-the-job fatality rate of 54.8 per 100,000, and crab fishing was once notoriously dangerous even for fishing. Today, thanks to changes in restrictions and increased product value, however, it's no longer as dangerous as it once was, and the pay keeps going up. But, as with all fishing, you'll still have to steel yourself against a fatality risk a terrifying 15.6 times the national average. Plus, it's cold. And those are the 10 riskiest jobs that pay out big bucks in exchange for the danger involved in doing them. What do you think? Would you accept the risk in exchange for the reward? Could you do these dangerous jobs? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more unbelievable content like this. These 15 jobs can make you a millionaire. In today's world, there are many different ways to make $1 million. It may not be easy, but it's certainly not impossible if you play your cards right. You can even make your first million at what many would consider to be a regular job. That's why, in this video, we'll be looking at 15 different career paths that could lead to becoming a millionaire, some predictable and some that may surprise you. Corporate lawyer. Anyone who's turned on a television in the last couple of decades can probably tell you that lawyers make good money, and a lot of drama if Shonda Rhimes' empire of shows is to be believed. Corporate attorneys are near the top of the pecking order in terms of average annual salary, making an average yearly income of $163,361 per year in the US, according to a 2019 article by Indeed.com. And that's just the national average. Successful corporate lawyers working for large law firms in big cities can earn much higher annual sums, taking in as much as $300,000 per year. Even at the average salary of $163,000 a year, someone who's wise with money could make themselves into a millionaire in about a decade, while those making higher sums could spend $100,000 a year and still be a millionaire in 5 years, or less, with a little smart investing. It's not exactly easy or fun work, and it does require getting into and attending a good law school. But if you want to be a lawyer and are willing to spend your days brokering deals for big corporations, you could be rolling in dough before you know it. Hedge fund manager. When it comes to careers widely associated with big money and suits, this is probably one of the top. Managing a hedge fund may not be something you can just wake up and do, but the career path to get there is pretty clear, and if you do, it can be incredibly lucrative. The top hedge fund managers can make more per year than even top CEOs, with highly successful managers making as much as $4 billion per year. How do you get there? Usually, it involves majoring in finance or going to business school, spending time working as a financial analyst, and working your way up. Now, the world of high-risk, aggressive investing isn't for everyone, but if you're willing to put in the work, even managing a smaller scale, lower risk hedge fund could make you a millionaire in no time. Software developer. The tech field is a rapidly growing industry, and jobs for software developers, the people that think up and build new software, are only continuing to multiply. Software developers have a less than 2% unemployment rate and make a median annual salary of over $100,000. With highly successful developers making millions. If you develop and sell a popular app, you can be set for life. And just working a regular job at over $100K per year can get you to millionaire status the slow way, as long as you're smart with your money. If you've got a creative mind and a strong attention to detail, software development could be a great fit to get you where you want to go. Performer. And then there's the entertainment industry. Admittedly, it can be tough to make it big as an actor or singer, almost impossibly tough, but those who do can collect massive paychecks. This is not a field with any guarantees of big paydays, so you may not want to pursue it unless you'd love to perform even for little or no money. But if you have a talent, it's worth putting yourself out there. The most successful stars in music, TV, and film make millions in a single year. And with the proliferation of streaming services and new media, there are more job openings than ever for dreamers with a creative streak. You can even make money as a YouTube star if you have the luck and skills to make it big. So why not give it a shot? Director. One of those jobs that's less thought of and may be a little less glamorous, but still in the entertainment industry, a director can take home massive paychecks. That's true not just of film directors, the auteurs we think of when we think of directors, but also directors for TV, commercials, even online branded content directors can make $1,000 in a day. Of course, this is another one of those fields where you'll need a combination of talent, education, and experience to get that pay grade, but if the idea appeals to you, it's an attainable career to pursue that's perhaps less thought of, and therefore a little less saturated than, say, the acting profession. And if you do hit it big, you might just be able to make millions. Professional athlete. It goes without saying that successful professional athletes make large sums of money in a year. Unfortunately, it's the kind of career that you need to train for from a young age, and you'll have to have a combination of talent, skill, and luck to really succeed. So if you're not already playing football or competing as a gymnast, it might be a little too late to get famous enough to get an endorsement deal. But you never know. If you have an undiscovered talent for some of the less age-dependent sports like curling, bowling, or arm wrestling, you might yet be able to make the pros. Plastic surgeon. Moving back into the realm of careers you can go to school for, surgeons are usually well compensated for their work, and specialists like plastic surgeons can draw a particularly large paycheck. According to Medscape.com, plastic surgery is the highest compensated specialty, with an average income of around $450 to $500K per year. Making that kind of money, you could become a millionaire in just a couple short years of nipping and tucking. Of course, you'll need to go through years of training to get there, and you'll need to be able to stand the sight of blood, but for those with the stomach for it and the dedication, becoming a plastic surgeon can really pay off. Anesthesiologist. Looking for a medical specialty that's a little lower impact but still highly compensated, anesthesiologists, people who select and administer anesthesia, and pain medicine around surgery, who, by the way, also have to be trained intensive care and emergency medicine physicians, make an average of $392,000 per year. It may not be the $500,000 that plastic surgeons can pull, but it's not that far off. Dentist. You may be surprised to see dentists on this list, but it's true. The average salary for your run-of-the-mill dentist is between $125,000 and $177,000, with specialists making much more. Orthodontists make, on average, $289,000 per year. Pediatric dentists make over $304,000 per year, and oral and maxillofacial surgeons make an average of $448,140 per year. Not bad for rooting around in someone's mouth for a while. That said, dentists also have a relatively physically difficult job as white-collar professions go, and the long-standing rumor that dentists have a relatively high suicide rate hasn't been successfully debunked. So proceed to dentistry school with caution. Investment banker. In the same vein as hedge fund managers, investment bankers are some of the folks known for making big money on Wall Street. But what do investment bankers actually do? Essentially, they work for financial institutions, and their job is to advise companies, corporations, governments, and other entities on how to raise capital. Similar to a hedge fund manager, you'll need at least a bachelor's degree with classes in finance, accounting, and business administration, and a master's in business administration or other related fields is not uncommon among those in senior positions. Most investment bankers then start as entry-level analysts and work their way up. An entry-level position in investment banking will usually start around $70 to $150K, while top-level officials make anywhere from $350,000 to tens of millions of dollars per year. If you're looking to become a millionaire, finance is a good place to be. Actuary. Just the word actuary may be enough to make some people yawn, but did you know that experienced actuaries can easily make six figures a year? Actuaries, in case you don't know, are people who assess and manage risk, essentially functioning as analysts and advisors. While the profession is often associated with the insurance industry, that's only one subsect of actuaries, called life actuaries. However, the job isn't limited to assessing human lives and the likelihood of someone's death. A grim position, to be fair. Non-life actuaries are often employed in assessing financial security systems, analyzing securities offerings, and other sorts of enterprise risk management. And while the average salary for actuaries is a little less than $100,000 per year, top actuarial executives can make $500,000 per year. Either way, becoming an actuary may be lucrative than you would have thought. Air traffic controller. Another entry you may be surprised to see on this list, Air traffic controllers are highly paid for their sometimes high-pressure work. And perhaps most excitingly, the job takes less formal schooling than most other careers that can help you become a millionaire. The median annual wage for air traffic controllers, according to the FAA, is $127,805 per year, and raises come with seniority. To begin training, you'll need to take a pre-employment test, pass security clearance, and take a medical exam. In the US, you need to be a citizen of the United States, have at least 3 cumulative years of bachelor's degree level schooling, and speak fluent English. You also need to be 30 years old or less when you apply. And that's it. Interested? Take a look at the FAA's website for key aptitudes, and if you fit the bill, you could be on your way to guiding planes and making bank. Real estate brokers and agents. First things first, not all real estate agents and brokers make large sums of money. The average salary for an agent is $55,530, and for a broker only a bit more at $80,420. That said, the top 10% of earners in the field make much more. The median salary for real estate agents and brokers working in the upper echelons of real estate is $178,770, putting them well on their way to making more than $1 million over the course of their careers. And, of course, even bigger money can be made in real estate investing if you can get there. Petroleum engineer. Perhaps you're a more science-minded individual looking to make your millions. Of all the fields of engineering, petroleum engineers take home the highest annual median pay. Of course, not everyone wants to work in natural gas and crude oil these days, what with the world coming to an end thanks to climate change, but if you do, you may be able to make a very healthy paycheck. The annual median pay for a petroleum engineer is around $130,000. So if you want to work on the engineering side of exploring, extracting, and producing oil, this field could be a perfect fit and set you on your way to making $1 million or more. You'll just need a degree in engineering or two first. Entrepreneur. Last but certainly not least, one way to make your first million is by starting your own business. Of course, not every business becomes profitable, yet alone makes millions, but plenty do. If you have a great idea and are willing and able to put in the sweat, blood, and tears, becoming an entrepreneur is one of the most accessible ways to make big money. Just make sure you read up on how businesses work and do plenty of research before investing your time and money into an idea. And going to business school couldn't hurt if you have the opportunity. As you can see, there are many paths to becoming a millionaire, and these are just a few of them. The most important thing isn't even how much you make, it's how much you save and how you invest your money when you are making it. It may be easier to save the more you make, but a prudent saver will beat a big spender to having $1 million in the bank every time. What do you think? Do any of these careers appeal to you? Do you have what it takes to make $1 million? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content like this.